Throughout history, humanity has grappled with a fundamental question. Do we genuinely possess free will? Or are our lives governed by predetermined forces? Do our decisions genuinely shape our lives? Or are we merely actors on a pre-scripted stage? If our choices are indeed predetermined, how can we be held accountable for our actions? This exploration into the complex relationship between free will and determinism will take us through the heart of this age-old debate. We will examine the compelling arguments presented by proponents of both sides, delving into the philosophical, theological, and scientific perspectives. By carefully considering both sides, we can gain a more nuanced understanding of this fundamental question. At the heart of the free will debate lies a fundamental belief in human agency, the conviction that we possess the inherent capacity to make choices that are genuinely our own. This sense of agency is not merely an illusion, it is a cornerstone of our self-concept and a driving force behind our actions. The argument for free will rests on the premise that we are not merely puppets dancing on the strings of fate, but active agents capable of shaping our own narratives. One of the most compelling arguments in favor of free will lies in our own subjective experiences. Our capacity for moral reasoning and judgment seems inextricably linked to the concept of free will. The argument from experience and moral reasoning suggests that free will is not merely a philosophical abstraction, but a lived reality that shapes our perceptions, values, and interactions with the world. The concept of free will raises a profound paradox, particularly when considered in the context of a deterministic universe. If every event, including our thoughts and actions, is predetermined, then how can we be held responsible for the choices we make? The paradox of responsibility in a deterministic universe challenges us to re-examine our assumptions about free will, choice, and the nature of human agency. While the concept of free will resonates deeply with our subjective experiences, the determinist perspective offers a compelling counter-argument. This perspective, often embraced by physicists and neuroscientists, posits that the universe operates according to immutable laws. Our thoughts, desires, and even our most deeply held beliefs are seen as arising from the intricate interplay of neurons firing in our brains. The determinist perspective gains further traction when we consider the interconnectedness of events in the universe. Every action, every thought, every fleeting emotion sends ripples through the fabric of reality, influencing the course of future events. The determinist perspective challenges us to see ourselves not as isolated agents acting upon the world, but as integral threads woven into the grand tapestry of existence. One of the most common objections to determinism arises from our deeply ingrained moral intuitions. If our actions are predetermined, how can we be held morally accountable for our choices? Moral responsibility becomes less about assigning blame and more about fostering a society that recognizes the complex interplay of factors that shape human behavior. As we've explored the contrasting perspectives of free will and determinism, it's become evident that both viewpoints present compelling arguments. Compatibilism asserts that free will and determinism are not mutually exclusive, but rather can coexist within a coherent framework. Compatibilism offers a nuanced perspective, acknowledging the complex interplay of factors that shape our choices while preserving a meaningful notion of human agency. To fully grasp the compatibilist perspective, it's essential to delve deeper into the nature of influence and how it shapes our choices. Compatibilists acknowledge that our decisions are never made in a vacuum. We are constantly bombarded with internal and external stimuli. Our genetics, upbringing, social conditioning, current circumstances, fleeting emotions. However, compatibilism posits that these influences do not render our choices unfree. What matters is how these influences are processed and integrated into our decision-making. If our actions result from coercion or manipulation, our freedom is compromised. For instance, buying a brand due to targeted advertising is not a true choice. Their choice is a product of external manipulation. In contrast, choosing a local, sustainable brand, after careful consideration, reflects personal values. Compatibilism invites us to examine influences and strive for self-awareness and critical thinking. Freedom exists on a spectrum, not an all-or-nothing proposition. Our degree of freedom fluctuates based on internal and external factors. Consider the difference between a young child and a mature adult. A child's choices are often driven by immediate gratification or peer pressure. As they mature, they develop the capacity for complex reasoning and long-term goals. Adults are not always rational, but their experiences afford them greater freedom. External circumstances can also constrain our freedom. Recognizing these constraints is crucial for fostering a just society. Compatibilism offers a nuanced perspective on freedom, acknowledging its dynamic nature. The debate on free will and determinism has profound implications for morality. If our actions are predetermined, does this negate moral responsibility? Can we hold individuals accountable if their actions were destined? These questions impact justice systems, notions of right and wrong, and relationships. Hard determinists argue that traditional morality is flawed. If free will is an illusion, so is the idea of deserving praise or blame. Our legal systems may be based on a misunderstanding of human nature. Compatibilists argue for moral responsibility within a deterministic framework. They emphasize social conditioning, education, and rehabilitation. Society plays a crucial role in fostering moral responsibility. The free will determinism debate touches our understanding of personal growth and self-improvement. If our lives are predetermined, are our efforts to better ourselves futile? Determinism might seem to cast a shadow over our lives, suggesting our efforts are predetermined outcomes. But even in a deterministic universe, striving and evolving remain meaningful. Personal growth can bring purpose, fulfillment, and connection. Recognizing external influences fosters self-acceptance and motivates positive change. The question of free will takes on a particularly profound dimension when considered in the context of religious faith. If God is indeed omniscient, knowing the past, present, and future, does this imply that our choices are preordained? And if our destinies are predetermined, what does this say about God's justice, mercy, and the very nature of faith itself? This theological dilemma has sparked centuries of debate among theologians and philosophers. Some argue that God's foreknowledge necessitates predestination, the belief that God has already chosen who will be saved and who will be condemned regardless of their actions in life. This perspective, often associated with Calvinism, emphasizes God's sovereignty and the idea that human salvation is entirely dependent on divine grace. However, other theological perspectives offer alternative interpretations. Some argue that God's omniscience does not preclude human free will, but rather encompasses it. They posit that God, in his infinite wisdom, allows for the possibility of genuine choice within the framework of his overall plan. This perspective emphasizes human agency and the idea that our choices have real consequences, both in this life and the next. Ultimately, the question of how free will and determinism intersect with our understanding of God remains a mystery, a testament to the limits of human comprehension when grappling with the infinite. Perhaps the most valuable lesson we can glean from this debate is the importance of humility, recognizing that our finite minds may never fully grasp the complexities of the divine plan. The age-old debate of free will versus determinism leaves us with more questions than answers. The complexities of human agency and the nature of the universe come into sharper focus. This debate reflects the essence of being human, to question, seek understanding, and grapple with mysteries. The allure of this question lies in its profound implications for our lives. If our choices are predetermined, does it diminish our struggles and triumphs? Or does it offer liberation, freeing us from ultimate responsibility? The debate mirrors the vastness and complexity of the cosmos. Just as physicists grapple with quantum mechanics, we wrestle with free will and determinism. While the question of whether our choices are ultimately free or predetermined may remain unanswered, what emerges with greater clarity is the profound interconnectedness of our lives and experiences. We are not isolated agents acting upon the world in a vacuum, but rather integral threads woven into a vast and intricate tapestry of influences. Our genes, our upbringing, our social conditioning, the seemingly chance encounters that shape our days, all contribute to the unique individuals we are and the choices we make. Recognizing this interconnectedness does not diminish our sense of self or agency, but rather enriches it, allowing us to view our lives within a broader context. This perspective invites us to approach ourselves and others with greater compassion and understanding. We can begin to see our flaws and shortcomings not as personal failings, but as products of our unique life experiences. Similarly, we can extend grace to others, recognizing that their actions, however hurtful or misguided, are shaped by a complex interplay of factors often beyond their control. Embracing this interconnectedness also highlights the profound responsibility we have to create a more just and equitable world. If we acknowledge the powerful influence of social structures, systemic inequalities, and cultural norms on individual behavior, then we are compelled to address these root causes, to work towards a society that provides opportunities for all individuals to thrive, regardless of their circumstances. As we conclude our exploration of free will versus determinism, let us not view this debate as a battle to be won or lost, but rather as an invitation to engage in an ongoing process of inquiry and reflection. The very act of grappling with these profound questions, of seeking deeper understanding, is itself a testament to our capacity for growth and evolution. The pursuit of truth in this context is not about arriving at a definitive answer, but about expanding our minds, deepening our empathy, and refining our understanding of the human condition. It is a journey that requires humility, curiosity, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. So let us continue to explore, to question, and to engage in thoughtful dialogue with those who hold differing perspectives. Let us approach this debate not with a desire to prove our own righteousness, but with a spirit of open-mindedness and a genuine desire to learn and grow. For in the end, the true value of this enduring philosophical conundrum lies not in the answers we find, but in the questions it compels us to ask and the journeys of self-discovery it inspires.